Hey, what's up guys? How's it going? Let's just talk about the Dreamcast for a little bit. Now, you can see by the title, the Dreamcast is one of my favorite systems out there. I have a huge amount of nostalgia for the system. I mean, it was my first video game console. Now, I know I told this story a few times before, but it honestly kind of sticks with me. I honestly remember my dad bringing this home on 9/9/99 and him just setting it up and playing it. First console I've ever played on the Dreamcast was Crazy Taxi and some of the games I honestly can't remember. But yeah, the Dreamcast was just my first bit of gaming experience. I'd say that's one huge reason that I love it. Now some people consider the Dreamcast either a 5th generation console or a 6th generation console. Me personally, I consider it a little bit of both, and that's another reason why I like it. It's that in-between factor. You know, when it comes to the Dreamcast, there's a lot of 5th gen ports and there's a lot of 6th gen ports. Of course, some of those 6th gen ports ended up on other consoles, but still. Like, take the Sonic Adventure series. Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 was on the Dreamcast, and both of them were great, but of course they ended up on the GameCube because it was, well, GameCube and the OG Xbox were a bit more popular, so they obviously had to port some of their newer stuff to the other consoles. I believe I talked about this before, but it seems like Sega prioritized the GameCube and the original Xbox when it comes to porting their games. Obviously, the GameCube would get more of the childish stuff, the OG Xbox would get more of the edgy stuff. For example, OG Xbox got House of the Dead 3, Shenmue. The GameCube got Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, and Billy Hatcher, Super Monkey Ball. I think you get it by now. Enough about ports and stuff like that. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
We'll be back with more Ren and Stimpy after this.
Coming to a Dreamcast near you. You will feel the passion of Soul Calibur.
Man, she's off the hook. Oh, perfect.
Soul Calibur on Sega Dreamcast. It's thinking.
And now back to Ren and Stimpy.
And we're back, but that's another huge reason why I love the Dreamcast. It's just that between factor. You get a little bit of both. You get a little bit of 5th generation games, and you get a little bit of 6th generation games. Now, speaking of games, when it comes to games on the Dreamcast, it comes with a lot of originality. Take Jet Set Radio, for example, one of my favorite games of the Dreamcast. That game comes with tons of originality. Personally, I don't think Jet Set Radio would be made on any other console. Now, sure, it has its problems, but I feel like the good kind of outweighs the bad. Anyway, another game, for example, is Sega GT. Of course, this had to compete with Gran Turismo, which Sega GT didn't really compare to Gran Turismo, unfortunately. But Sega GT was just basically your simulation racing game where you earn a license, buy cars, and all that good stuff. Now, I will talk about these games separately, but I'm just going to put them all in one category. So, arcade ports. Obviously, arcades were a big thing back in the 90s, and Sega had a lot of arcade games. For example, Crazy Taxi and House of the Dead. Of course, these two games landed on Dreamcast. And I know I talked about Crazy Taxi a bit before on the channel, about it if you want to go check out that video. But I feel like Crazy Taxi on the Dreamcast is a one-to-one representation of the arcade game. Same thing with House of the Dead, of course. House of the Dead, you have options. You could either use the light gun or the controller, which I honestly like. You get a bunch of different options. Now, I will talk about SegaNet, but obviously I have no experience with it, but I feel like it should be mentioned nonetheless. Of course, SegaNet was sort of Sega Online. You could basically hook up your telephone wire to the Dreamcast and you're online. Now, of course, the internet wasn't really as good because, back then people were on AOL and whatnot, and I'm assuming it wasn't the best, but for the time, it must have been great. Now, granted, SegaNet was, before the original Xbox Live, before PS2 Online, but before any of this. I imagine playing games online in 1999 must have been awesome. But ladies and gentlemen, my apologies if this was a bit of a rambly video. I just wanted to talk a bit about the Dreamcast. I'll say again, it's one of my favorite systems. I'll put it in my top 10 consoles of all time. Yeah, again, sorry if I was a bit rambly in this video. Apologies for that. And hey, if you want to, like, subscribe, do whatever you want to do in the rush, and tell me down below what's your favorite Dreamcast game. Tell me down in the comments, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.